Hello, hello, hello. Apologies, we're a couple minutes late. We had minor technical issues. Streamlabs decided that for some reason my login has expired. So either way, hope everyone is having a great start to your week. Mike, how are you doing? What's up? How are you doing, buddy?
Oh man, not
Love your
so good
t-shirt. Come on,
today.
up. Show the
Not.
t-shirt. T-shirt first. Come
Oh
on.
yeah,
Stand
you're
up a little
showing me.
bit. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Got,
No. They
got
cannot see. Oh, yes. Yeah, yeah. I dig that.
got my heavy metal shirt.
Dig that. Talking about not so good. Continue.
Yeah, not so good. Today was a bad day.
No
It
way.
was it was my saxophone and clarinet lesson day, and
Oh boy.
I dropped both my clarinet mouthpiece and my saxophone mouthpiece on the floor. Do you think I'm gonna get the virus? Do you think?
No. I think that's just a natural way of developing immunities. Like drop things on the floor, like mouthpieces, put them back in your mouth, and then you just naturally develop like immunity. How about that? You
If I
like the
get sick,
logic?
if I get sick in a couple of days, it's
It's probably
because
not going to be the virus. It's going to be a stomach from eating the stomach
it's
problem from eating the dirt from the ground. So,
it's gonna be because I dropped my woodwind mouthpieces today.
um,
That's why.
Either way, that being said, hello and welcome to everyone who's joining in. We're going to wait for a couple more minutes for more people to join in. Normally we do this on Monday. This is Tuesday, so I don't know how many people were aware of that. I've sent an email notification. But either way, we're going to cover some topics today. We're going to talk about pros and cons, about living on a performance schedule. We're going to give some insight on personal experience since some of the younger listeners might kind of think about touring or being like a traveling musician and all the cool stuff, or maybe even the downsides. But we're gonna share some insights, some maybe funny stories. I don't know whether you have any on hand, but we kind of talked about.
I'm I'm sure some will come to mind as we go
Yeah.
along.
Yeah, as always, as always, we've got some funny fan submissions. I received a couple of videos. I should probably check them through before showing them on a live stream. I kind of briefly went through it, so I'm not seeing anything crazy there. So we'll show all of them. And outside of that, what else? What else? You're preparing. Are you on the Sunday?
Yeah. I'm scheduled. Yes.
You're playing what? Trumpet?
Second. I wish I would
Hmm,
totally play trumpet if they would put me on like the second cornet or something.
okay.
I would crush that book. I would
Okay.
crush it.
So we've got some cool stuff coming up. Melody Shop and etc. We're recording with River City. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed yesterday's upload, Ruslan and Ludmila. That's something I wanted to upload for a long time. That's one of my favorites. I'm not sure. For some reason, I thought more people will know that tune. It seems like a lot of people who I talked about, they never heard of Ruslan, Glinkas, Ruslan, and Ludmila for some reason. But either way, let us know in the comment section below whether you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel as well as visit Drew's channel, the music of Drew Fennell. Make sure to hit that subscribe button as well. We're uploading some cool content there. Either way, we're gonna dig into the pros and cons of living on a performance schedule. Type in if you have any experience in terms of having multiple consecutive performances that would be in high school or outside of that, or basically any musical experience. Type in what you believe or what you think from your own personal experience were the pros and cons of being and living on performance based schedule. But that being said, this was a topic that Mike chose, so I'm gonna let you lead the way with this and just elaborate. We wanted to pick a topic that would have that we would have a little bit more insight that perhaps other people wouldn't have from firsthand experience. So, Mike, you picked the topic. Would you like to lead the way on why and what we're going to be sharing and talking about today?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So often you'll get questions about asking about, what it takes to become a professional musician and what are those experiences like. And we often, mention all the things that you would need to do or think about if you wanted to take a path down the road of studying music or getting into the music profession. But there's a lot of things to think about, and there's a lot of things to consider. And especially even for the younger people, there might be some things that you don't even consider to be the fact, being a professional musician or playing consistently. And I just thought, it would be nice to talk with all of you here today with some of the positive things, but then also some of the things that are concerning with this type of lifestyle, so that when you're deciding things about your future, or if you want to take part in this type of thing, you'll at least have a little bit of opportunity to think about those types of things, both good and bad.
So, Mike, here's a question for you. What I'm curious to know, how did your overall, I want to know how your perspective changed from like, because everyone has their own vision in terms of look, I just want to play the instrument, I want to be a performer, and what your vision was in school, then in university, and later on we'll get, but I want to see, I want to hear your evolution in terms of how you imagined like touring and being a performer when you were in high school or school, and then when you went to university and kind of started getting the first taste of what you're going to be looking at, and when you got the job or the gig playing with the band and actually touring. So I'm just curious, school, you want to be a performer. We kind of clearly, because you decided to go the music route.
No. I mean, well, in school, I didn't want to be a performer necessarily. I wanted to be a music teacher. That had been my goal from, like I said, often on the stream since seventh grade. Since seventh grade, watching my music teacher, since passed away. His name was Richard Zanna, but just watching him teach every day band, I was like, oh, this guy loves it. He's having such a good time. Maybe if I do this, I'll have just as good a time as he's having. So that's what sort of set me down that path. And all throughout, middle school, high school, I just wanted to be a band teacher. I wanted to be a music teacher. So that was my main focus. And whenever I went into college, then I started playing with the River City Brass whenever, I believe it was towards the end of my freshman year of college. That's when I first started playing with them. And then after that point, I loved it. It was so much fun. I was like, oh, I want to do this. I want to do this for as long as possible. And then I think it was maybe last stream or the stream before that, we were talking about switching degrees to get into just strictly music performance, because my bachelor's degree was in music education. And there was that moment there during, I think it was my sophomore year, where I contemplated switching from music education to music performance.
Was it before you had a chance to play with River City, or after?
It was after. Okay. It was after. So I was playing with River City pretty consistently by that point, and I was like, maybe I should just switch over and do the music performance thing, because this is so much fun. And then, like I said last time, I decided against that. But sort of around that time, in the middle part of my undergraduate studies, I just tried to make both of them equally. Like, I really love teaching students, and I really love playing the instrument. So what can I do, or how could I go about doing that to where I could take part in both things?
So, but before you head there, sorry, but this is I want to make sure I want to establish the list of pros and cons. So clearly you're contemplating on switching to a performance major. There's clearly some pros there. There's a reason why you're thinking, okay, I might want to be a performance major, want to switch degree, which potentially might be a little bit more riskier. So what exactly made you think about that?
No, I just think you just get caught up in how incredible it is. Like, taking part in those performances at a higher level, and obviously the response from the audiences and the crowds that you play for, it makes you feel good to do that. You're trying your hardest with something, and you're throwing your your hard work and your talents out there, and people are appreciating that and giving you feedback in that way. And it just gives you a fantastic feeling. Yeah, and two, it's the love of music. I love music so much. I decided to make my life this. So you put all those things together, and it's like, well, why don't I just switch and dedicate more to getting myself better at my instrument, so I could go maybe above and beyond what was taking place at that time. But I just can't shake the education thing. It would be like, giving up a really important part of myself and what I wanted to be. I could say even more so right now, like I really enjoy teaching. Playing, I also love to play, but I really love teaching.
Does your perspective change from university time to now in terms of what do you think are the best and worst things about being on a regular performance schedule?
Yeah, big time. I mean, the older I get,
yeah. We're not gonna go to cons just yet.
No. I'm just just saying, like, the older you get, the wiser you get with things, and you're able to process things maybe with a little bit more clarity. Because just whenever you're younger, you just don't know. I mean, you don't know, like, what it's going to be, what's going to happen,
sure.
All these things. So, when you have some years behind you and some life experiences, it starts to bring everything together.
Okay, I think I want to make a list of 10 best 10.
Oh, I can't. I can't.
Wait.
I can't go all the way up to 10.
Come on. 10 best things. So I'm just curious. Routine or lack thereof in performance schedule, or more like a excitement of new experiences. So would you rate that as one of the top 10 pros for being on a regular performance schedule? Like I'm gonna start naming just some. For example, me being able to see different places. Look, for a kid coming from Lithuania, from basically all there is lakes and pine trees. Seeing skyscrapers and palm trees and gators in Florida. For me, that wasn't that long ago when I first went to Florida. Now you're laughing.
No, I'm just thinking of a funny story.
Because when we were driving, I cannot remember whether it was with you, but I clearly remember we were driving to the gig from the airport with our River City guys. They're driving in their swamps, like these swampy kind of, almost, it wasn't like rivers, but like these swampy kind of ponds outside. And I was like, look at all those logs. And they're like, those aren't logs, and those are gators. So, but what was the funny?
No, you're absolutely right. There is that visiting new places and seeing different types of people and experiences, especially in this country. I mean, I haven't been out of the United States very much, just into Canada a couple of times. But just traveling around our country, for most of my life, I never really went anywhere. The only time I went on, other than going to Ohio, which we're very close to here in Pennsylvania, in Pittsburgh. Other than that, I only traveled to places when we went on our band trips for school. I didn't have a lot of money to go on vacations here or there and all of that. So that's the only experience that I had. So whenever I would go for the brass band to these different places, it was amazing, even to just see the rest of the United States from and how different it is from this area right here. Like, for example, back in the day, we did a performance out in Arizona. I can't recall which part of Arizona. I just know we flew out there to do a gig. And I've never been to Arizona. It's the furthest west in our country that I've been up until that point. And we land in Arizona, and I just look at it, and I'm like, the only thing I thought was the cactus are really tall. That was the first thing. Man, were they tall! But the second
different
thing,
type of.
But the second thing, they were so tall. I could not believe how tall the cactus was. But it just reminded me, and I thought, I'm like, oh my goodness, this looks like the surface of Mars. Like whenever I went there, because here in Pennsylvania, there's trees everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like full of trees, and then I'm not naive to think that other places are different, but man, was it different. It looked like the surface of Mars to me.
So fair enough. Travel, one of the pros. One of the pros. Travel, getting to see new places, meeting people. How about that? For me, one of the biggest pros as well is making connections, meeting new people. I always, you know me. One of the things I always do, especially when we travel. Maybe not so much in a regular venues, because I guess the accessibility to players behind the stage to our regular subscribers is it's quite easy to have a chat with your musicians if we're doing local gigs. But one thing I used to always do on those gigs when we were on tours, during intermissions, I would always go out where they would have CD stands and so on, and just chat with all the people that were in, and the amount of former musicians, former military band players that would come into the gigs that later on become a fan of the channel, and so on and so on. For me, that was one of the big upside. It's meeting new people and getting, and it's very America itself. It's very interesting because it's very accepting. People anticipate, like in different countries where you don't have so much of a variety of different people, different accents, different ethnicities, and so on. Like the anticipation of other people having a completely different outlook to the world and so on might not be so great. Whereas in the United States, there are so many different people with different experiences. And just like you said, like in the United States, just by leaving the state, you're like, oh man, it's just like a different planet and so on. So for me, it's always very interesting. Normally, one of the topics we would talk about on those trips is weather, which is probably sounds lame, but Pennsylvania weather and weather in Florida, or weather. So one of the cities that we went to was Panama City in Florida. Was it a year ago, something like that? And that was right after the hurricane. Well, not right after. They canceled one of the concerts and postponed it, actually, not canceled. And we got to see what happens when a hurricane goes through the city, and just talking with people, like different experiences. So for me, one of the pros is hearing different stories, meeting new people, and just makes your outlook a little bit look at the world and people in a little bit more of an open-minded way, because you realize that whatever you used to, your lifestyle might be completely, not like very, but completely different to in comparison to other people. So would you rate that as a pro, as one of the pros?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I really appreciate the fans and the concert goers. I make it a point too to get out into the crowd, for a couple of different reasons, just to build the communication between the listeners and the music makers on the stage. Just developing friendships with them. There's a handful of regular concert goers when we do our series around Pittsburgh that I know personally now, and every opportunity that I get a chance to see them at a performance, I always go out into the crowd and talk with them and see how they're doing and what's new in their lives, and I really enjoy that. And the other thing too is you'd be surprised at how much feedback you get about the performance, or maybe the song selections, or how the performance went. If you start to get to know people a little bit more, oftentimes people, when they first meet you, they're going to say, pleasant things and nice stuff about how you did and all of that. But as you start to get comfortable with them and more familiar, they start to mention, some good feedback, constructive comments, and maybe some ideas about the selections that were chosen, and either good or bad, and all of that. So you really get a sense of what they appreciate from the performance, or what their expectations are, whether if you achieved them or if you didn't meet their expectations with things.
So another thing for me, for example, that personally I found like a big upside to traveling. I will never call that. I think it would be mischaracterizing it to say that it feels like a vacation when you go that. But I always say it's not the same as you get out from your regular routine. So, for example, a good example when we went, was it Florida again? When we went to that by the Gulf of
Gulf of Mexico. Yeah. It was down. We were maybe it was at like the Fort Myers area or something like that.
But here's the deal: whenever we would have a local concert right here, there's a certain routine. You would wake up. There's a routine, and you do. I nearly dropped my pen. You do your own stuff. Maybe go to gym or do whatever you want to do. But what I was going to say. Oh, basically, whenever you go and travel. For me, there's clearly a performance thing happening there. I'll teach you how to use the comment sections in a second. We, by the way, for those who don't know, we had a little chat yesterday. Mike does not know how to read live chat on during the live stream, and therefore that's the reason why he keeps on leaning to the screen. So Mike, just quickly switch on the live stream so you can see the comments yourself. And then once you're on the live stream, click live chat, and you'll be able to see all the messages. And you're there?
I don't see where live chat is.
Do you see thumbs up?
Yeah.
Thumbs down?
Mm-hmm.
Next to it, what's the button next to it?
Share.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not kidding. It says share.
What's next?
I think I know how to read. It says share.
Where's live chat? Come on, keep on scrolling through that but until you see live chat.
I just have save and report. Should I press report?
What kind of phone do you have? No, not report. Don't press report.
Should I press it? I should press it?
No, either way.
I should press report?
No, don't press report.
All right, go back to the chat.
Yeah,
we'll work
either way. So for me, it has, in a sense, a little bit of a holiday vibe. Not exactly that, but it takes you away from your regular routine. So it's, I guess... what's the anti-routine word? What's the opposite to being in a routine, I guess? Outside of, is there a word for that?
Yeah, I'm sure there is. I'd have to think for a second. Nothing jumps to mind.
Either way, escaping a routine. I'll put escaping a routine. So for those who are joining in, I've seen some questions. Put your questions in the comment box below. We'll try and answer as many of them. I'm seeing some of the patrons join in, some of our regular members. Mike, give shout out to John Thorough. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing the surnames
Hi, John.
correctly. Then Christopher is here. We've got
Chris. Yeah, Chris.
We've got
Was
his.
he the one with
yeah,
that?
Yes. We'll show. We'll show that only. Raphael is here. Ryan is here. Professor Aaron. I don't know. Either way, Ellen is here. Spontaneous.
Here. Oh, hey,
and she said spontaneous is the word. How about that? Spontaneous.
Yeah,
exactly.
Spontaneous would be good.
At least somebody can speak English in this. I don't know. I cannot. Apparently, my dictionary does not have that word. So at least Ellen can always correct that. Let me write that down. Spontaneous. Okay. So I put that as a pro. Some people don't think that's a pro. Would you put that as one of the pros?
Oh, a change of pace is good. I consider that like a change of pace. You have your routine and the things that you always do, and then when you have an opportunity to sort of break away from that, it just feels refreshing. You know, even though it's stressful because you have to do a performance, but just to sort of break free of the routine is a breath of fresh air.
Okay, fair enough. Another thing, after performance. Does the after performance on your regular gig here versus traveling feel different, or is different?
Yeah, for sure. Because whenever, most of the time, after a performance, whenever you're on the road, you're normally very close to where you're staying. So it's real quick. You go from the performance hall or wherever we're doing the performance, and we get back to where we're staying, and then we have a little bit of freedom to go around and see the various things. If we have enough time, go out to get a dinner at a place nearby or whatever, if that's the opportunity. Sometimes it's sometimes it's a little rough. You don't have a lot of choices. You're just getting like a fast food place, but a lot of times you can get a nice meal. Like whenever we went down to Florida on the Gulf Coast there, man, the fish was tasty down there. Oh, it was so good.
Yeah. So for me after concert experience is quite different as well. Like I that's another thing that I really enjoy being on the road is after gig experience. And it's not only food and so on, but that relief. I would not call it the relief, but like leading up to that, you always your focus is on the performance. And if you do well, if you crush it in the performance, remember what was that gig? We keep on talking about Florida. Do we ever, me and you, ever go to Florida only? I keep on having these like flashbacks.
I mean, we've been to other ones like Virginia.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. But
New York and things like that. But often whenever I get asked to go, I'll hop down to Florida with you. Obviously, you get asked to go on more road gigs than I do because you're the principal player. Yeah. So it's few and far between with me.
So we went to this senior residence in Florida. Remember that, where we played in that theater? We did 2 gigs in one day. We did 2 concerts, same venue, 2 different audiences. Do you remember that? That's where a lot of good footage came from living as well. But do you remember the restaurant they had in those living areas? We had like, do you recall, have any experience recalling that? Any recollection of that?
I don't know if we're thinking of the same one, but with that one that we went to, this place across the street, across the highway, had some of the best fish I've ever had. It was great.
Yeah, either way. But basically, when you do this is where we're heading. The after concert experience for me, it's if you do extremely well, that relief and the energy you get after, which is, well, I wouldn't call it a relief, but there's almost what's the word I'm looking for? What's the word?
No, I mean, when you're talking about like accomplishing a goal and completing a task, and that's finished and that's behind you, you're in a more relaxed state. You're more open, like especially if you have a good performance, you're feeling good. You have good feelings about that, and then you can relax a little bit, have some fun with the rest of the bandmates. And
yeah, but it's not the same whenever you play live, because as soon as you finish the gig, you normally, not live, I mean around this area, where you finish, you're immediately back on, okay, tomorrow work.
Absolutely. It's like almost, not that time stands still, but you're stuck in that little area right there, and there's sort of nothing else to do than to just take it easy and relax. Like when we do a performance around here, it's like, okay, we're finished. What's happening tomorrow? I need to go and drive back home and take care of all these things before like the next day, where you're so far away whenever you go on tour that there's nothing else that you have to do. There's like no other requirements you once it's finished.
You're not responsible for driving. You're not responsible.
Yeah.
Well, at least most of the time, I would guess. So, what would be a good word to describe that? I would not call that a spontaneous. I would be like
it's like
carefree.
Carefree, but like your responsibilities are minimal.
Yeah.
Your responsibilities are minimal at that point.
Money. Okay. More money on road, less money on road.
Yeah, you get more money on road because they pay for literally every single thing.
Yes.
To get to where you need to go. Even if you're driving yourself, they pay you for the amount of miles that you drive. If you're flying, they pay for your airfare to get to wherever you want to go. You get paid for food, and oftentimes there's food negotiated in the contract at the performance venue, where they will have something there. They give you spending money for each day. It's not a ton of money, but it's enough to take care of your meals that you would want to. If you would want a really nice meal, that would be in the per diem that you would have. If you wanted to skimp and get some fast food, and you could just pocket the rest of the money, and it's like an extra bit added to the salary for playing the performance.
Does that apply to other performance-based jobs?
Like what, for example?
Military bands, symphony orchestras.
I'm sure
It does.
that
Yeah, yeah,
they'll
it does.
have that
Mhm.
same experience there too,
Yeah,
for those types of things. Especially if you're talking about top symphony orchestras. Yeah, they get paid to do
travel. You
everything
know.
and anything.
So more money? That fair assessment?
Yeah, oh yeah, a little bit more. A little bit
Okay,
more.
so we've got travel, new people, spontaneousness. I'm probably not doing that correctly. Responsibility, money. Any other things that you can think of, in particular, that were very alluring to you when it came to performing and traveling and want to be like a touring artist?
I mean, I think we talked about some of the top ones there for sure. It's just spread, even just, sharing your music and sharing the gift of music to other people in different areas is just what comes to my mind first and
Okay,
foremost.
so your suggested topic was originally to give a little bit of the insight in terms of, because these are the pros normally that people expect, and they kind of figure that out before they even start or get a job. You wanted to talk a little bit and get a little bit in depth about cons of being a performing artist or an artist on the tour, and is there a particular reason why you wanted to?
No, it's just because I don't know if I don't know if everyone understands the what it takes to have that as a part of your lifestyles. There are some life adjustments that need to take place, and especially if young people are considering doing this type of thing. I mean, you should be made aware, and you should know what some of the drawbacks are to it. There's some considerable drawbacks to leading this kind of life
So
that you should be aware of.
So you just to name me a few, not the ones that people should not be aware of. Imagine, let's say I'm somebody in high school, no experience. What do you think? What kind of drawbacks do you think regular people or younger musicians anticipate before they start touring? Do you think there's any drawbacks people would anticipate? For example, one of the things before I even started touring was I never enjoyed sleeping in cars or planes and so on. So that for me did not need to be like an experience I learned about. Maybe I truly understood what that meant, but some of the things I kind of anticipated there. But is there anything you believe that is very like in your face obvious that people?
Speaking personally, I mean, I was always so optimistic about everything, and even if I experienced the negative side of things, or I don't know if I could even foresee what that was, because I was so excited to play. I was so excited to go here or there and to take part in that I didn't really, I didn't notice the challenges that were present there.
Okay.
And then as I got older though, and I did it more and more, and it was a consistent thing, then you really
Start realizing.
realize what's
Okay.
going on.
Okay, well, I'll let you. I've been holding you back on this. So start naming some stuff that you believe falls in the cons list of being on a performance schedule. What do you like on that you or more like don't like in comparison to maybe a regular 9 to 5 or whatever regular job you might have.
So like the one thing is, yeah, I think of a couple of things on the negative side when it comes to a performing schedule, especially when it's so demanding and it happens so often, is one, your health, and the second thing is being I don't even know the right word for this, but the sacrifices that you make for your family,
Okay, personal
or in
lifestyle.
regard to your family.
Yeah. Let's break down one of those. What do you mean by health?
Health. So
Oh, I know what the health is. I mean, like, elaborate.
no. I get what you mean. I get what you mean. I'm not laughing at that. But for a great many years, and even especially, when my first stint with the brass band. We gigged a lot more than we do right now.
Nobody gigs
even
right now.
maybe about three more performances of the concert series around the town here. We gigged even more road gigs and run out gigs. We call them run outs or touring gigs. There was a lot more of them too. So whenever we were at the height of our season, and you put that into with like the youth groups that we have the opportunity to teach and take part in on the weekends, all these things add up. And especially if you have a different job, and a lot of the players in the brass band have another career on top of this, so you dedicate a lot of time to doing that, and often it takes an impact on your health when you think about nutrition, when you think about how fatigued you are or how tired you are. Those are big considerations. I've had negative health issues come from, I wouldn't say necessarily performing in general, but it didn't help. I'll say that.
Physical, physical, or like emotional, mental, all that kind of stuff.
I mean, more so, I try to not let the mental things get to me, but I mean, sometimes it can be stressful with all the requirements that you have to do and the demands that are placed on you. It could get frustrating, and it could get, it could get rough sometimes. You could jump to anger a little bit more quickly than you would expect.
Like in terms of communicating with other people.
Yeah, often, yeah, absolutely. You could feel the pressure and things like that. It'd be often where there'd be a relative and they would wonder something, or they would have questions. They would try to get a hold of you, and you're like, listen, I'm slammed with all this stuff that I have to do, and it's sad that you can't give them the time that you need to answer what they do, but you're under so much pressure that sometimes it builds up, and sometimes you're not the nicest of a person with that. But even, it's not just mentally, but physically too. It's, if you don't prepare or plan ahead, you're spending a lot of time on the road between job, and you're eating what you can get through the fast food drive-through, and that is not good for your health, for sure. So, you put years and years of that together in multiple months, then it starts to get unhealthy pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's one of the things that for me, I will always categorize it as sustainability. I don't see that as a very sustainable long-term model. I've seen very, very few people who can sustain that for decades at a time, where they're traveling 50 or more % of the year, like let's say 180 days on a road per year. Very few people. You have to be very organized. You have to find a routine where there's no routine. So you have to know how to prepare for how to manage stress, preparing all the required equipment, clothing, documents, so on each time you travel, and all that kind of stuff. So for me, it's always a sustainability thing that bothered me a little bit, and those health things and etc. I was always curious whether do you feel that's stress related or more for me one thing that and I'm pretty sure there must be studies done or something on that. You got to the point, planes, did that ever cause you any problems, like being on a plane, for this thing with sleeping and the jet lags, like being constantly jet lagged for weeks and weeks and weeks all the time? For me, that was one of the
No, I mean, not normally. Planes were never an issue with me personally.
Okay, fair enough. But for me, yeah, health, I agree with that. In terms of relationship, I guess what would you say? People you communicate with in the band, I guess that can get a little bit. If everyone's tired, people might get a little bit more grumpy, might be a little bit sensitive. You're married. How does that work? If you want to be on the road.
I mean, it's not easy at all. It's really not easy
I like
at all.
how your mood just yeah, it's okay. Go
No,
ahead.
because it's disappointing. I'm not necessarily proud of that. You know, it's like what do you choose? Do you choose like your passion and your career path and all of that, or do you choose your significant other? And sometimes it feels like there's a wedge that's in between. Like even for example, when it's since the virus has been around, this has stopped. But both you and I, we would go to we would go out to New York a couple of times, to Long Island, New York, a couple of times a year for a Christmas holiday and the Easter holiday to do some church performances
Yep.
out there, and they're just a blast. They're a lot of fun. I love doing it.
Yeah.
The
It's like
payment
always
is
that's
the
yep. You're
payment
naming
is
all
great. All the
pros.
things
Payment,
that
yeah.
we talked about, but it's like it's hard to say to your relatives or your wife, like, hey, I'm going to be gone on one of the most important holidays of the year, and if we're lucky you'll see me, by 10, 11 p.m. on that holiday. It's really tough. you know it, it's it's it, it's just not, it's not fun.
What do you say?
It's not good.
I always think of like road gigs being almost like an athlete life. There's a very short window of your lifetime where you can do that full or partially full time before it gets like unsustainable to the point where you cannot do it. One of the things I also noticed as well, like, do you find that when did this become like a thing where you start really considering, like you said in the beginning, you were like, oh, this is the coolest thing in the world, all that. How old were you when you were starting to think, oh, okay, maybe it would be pretty cool to spend a weekend just hanging around home?
Yeah, it's probably I'm sure the feelings like amplified or magnified whenever I got my teaching job and then I was still performing. So we're talking like get up somewhere in the 5 o'clock hour in the morning, get ready and go and teach in school. After school, you can't even get home, and you practice maybe for an hour and a half, and then you head to your gig that you have, and then you're home about 10:30 p.m., 11 o'clock, and then it just starts over again the next day, the same thing. That happened for years. So I would say in my mid 20s I was
Crazy,
like,
isn't it? Yeah.
I was like, oh my goodness, how am I going to do it? You're just under a constant feeling of fatigue. Like when we go back to like the health and like mental feelings and some of the drawbacks to this, it's like, some people might not realize just how exhausted you are and how fatigued you are. And then when you get on stage, you have to try to force all of that away and perform at a high ability and entertain the crowd. It's tough to do. It's draining. It's difficult to do. But, for a good long stretch there, and most of the time, I'm extremely exhausted. And I'm still doing all those types of things. Like I wonder how I would do if I was like totally rested and feeling great.
Yeah, but
beforehand.
That's where you get into that situation where if only you had a little bit more preparation time, if only you had a little bit, and it never is. Like 10 out of 10 people I speak that have a travel-based performance schedule have identical experience, and it's just the question which end up having a little bit more pros and cons, but it's always a very 50-50 balance, that there's drawbacks and there's upsides. You know what's the worst thing for me about these thoughts when they creep in? It's, and there's so few, not, I wouldn't, overall musicians, but in particular like euphonium players and so on. There's so few in the world that can actually make not only a living but any money from playing. And when you get in, and it's a weird economy where once you get there, where you start, it seems like in order, because you basically, there's no like, you always think of, I'm going to choose, when I get to that point, I'm going to choose which gig I want to do or what activity I want to do. But you never end up being put in those situations. You either do it all,
take anything
or,
you can get.
Yeah, or you're being
that's
replaced
so
immediately.
Too. With timing too. It's like, I can't turn down anything. Like you turn down something.
That's it. Another person.
It's gone forever.
It. Yep.
It's gone forever. And there it goes. Yeah, you can't. I spent most of my life. That's why anytime I get asked to do anything, I'm like, sure, count me in. I'm going to do it.
You're not going to get asked second time.
You want me to play second trombone? You want to play second trombone? Great.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll play second trombone. I'll play whatever you want me to play.
Yeah.
You want me to put a costume on? Sure. I'll put a costume on, whatever you want me to do. Because if you don't do it, the chances of you being asked again it's very slim.
Have you ever felt ungrateful that even though you haven't expressed, that's one of the things that kind of bothered me a little bit for a while. Each time I would kind of, if I overcommit and you get very tired, and like you said, you get exhausted to the point where, man, I just wish. And look, it's probably not something you would normally hear, but trust me when I tell you, all the actively performing musicians have those days where they think, man, I wish I didn't have that concert this evening. I wish I could take a. Am I making this? Am I the only person?
No. You're absolutely right. It's like you're so stressed with everything, and you're just like, man, do I got to do this thing here tonight? I do. I said I would, and then you do. But the positive thing is that every time you have one of those, and especially once the performance is done, I've never had a performance where when I got finished, I didn't feel good in one way or another.
So that's getting back. That's what I meant. So normally when you travel, you get that extra fatigue and so on. So remember when I said, does the aftermath of your gig right here around the area where it's 30-minute drive versus like a plane, go to airport, 2 a.m., airport, check in, fly, sleep on the plane, have a 2-hour nap, go to rehearsal, have a quick snack, go to stage. And the aftermath of that feels for me way more rewarding than and it's probably not in the sense that it's not fun performing, but the sense of accomplishment in terms of the process you have to, because it's not performing, it's not the 2 hours of performing, it's waking up 10 in the evening. After it starts, you plan a day ahead. You would go to bed 6 p.m., 5 p.m., get 4 or 5 hours of sleep, wake up, pack your stuff or maybe pre-pack, go to the airport so you're not late. You arrive to airport, 2 hours? Maybe something like that, just to ensure you cannot be late. It's not one of those meetings where, hey guys, I'm running 15 minutes late. Sorry, it cannot happen.
Speaking of that, if there's any young musicians that are listening right now, don't ever be late for anything. Get your practice now, because once you get into the real world, if you're late for things, you're going to be gone. Like I dread showing up late to a performance. That's why I'm so early every single time. It's funny that you mentioned that, because literally if you show up late, it's as easy as like, you're fired. Get out of here.
I always think if I'm driving to the gig or driving to the airport, I'm always thinking, in case I have a flat tire or something happens, I have enough time to either call and wait out for somebody to go tow my car and call an Uber. So maybe like a 2-hour process. That's what I'm thinking. I always try to be 2 hours before any event. That's how I normally plan out those things. So basically, there's quite a few pros and cons to traveling. What kind of personality traits do you think would be best suited for an actively traveling performing musician? Who do you think, who would you recommend this to, and who would you not recommend this to?
I mean, normally a person with a personality that is a little bit more dynamic, that could handle challenges that arise at the spur of the moment, or issues that happen spur of the moment, because there's a lot of unknowns, especially when you're going to a different place or you're spending a lot of time on the road and doing all of that. Things might change very quickly with what you have to deal with, and just being able to adjust to the issues that you might face would be an important skill set to have with that. Just off the top of my head right now.
Fair enough. So look, this is one of the topics we wanted to talk a little bit. We're gonna try and pick some stuff that would be a little bit more inside, and that potentially something that could only be particularly known. And I'm gonna always push you to talk a little bit more of specific. I know you always like to keep it clean. You like it clean and sweet and all that kind of stuff, but I want some insight all the time. So I'm gonna.
Now, if I could say one last thing, if we're transitioning into a different part, if you're a musician right now and you're spending a lot of time, developing your craft, and maybe you are doing performances, or you're taking part in a performance kind of lifestyle, or if you're a young person and you haven't experienced this yet, but it's something that might be of interest to you, don't ever forget your family and your loved ones during this process and during that time. Don't ever forget your family and your loved ones, because you will regret it more than anything.
Sounded aggressive. You said it in a very aggressive way.
No, it's one of my biggest. I can't even think of the word. It's. I don't want to say mistake. It's one of my biggest mistakes. I'll just say mistake for right now, because I put so much time practicing and spending time with the horn and doing music type things, where I feel like there's a handful of things in my life that I missed out on, in important moments, or building important connections with my loved ones or my relatives have been lost. And there's nothing I could do to get those moments back. So if you can keep that in the back of your mind most of the time, and still give that consideration to your loved ones and your family, you'll be better off.
You know what? But that's exactly when I asked you the question of personality traits. That would be a person who's thinking like that is exactly the person I would not be recommending doing that. I always feel that musician, like somebody who wants to be a professional euphonium player, is equivalent to a person standing in a line or about to buy a lottery ticket, that he or she believes that I have a way better chance of winning that lottery than anyone else. It's almost like the confidence and obsession to get to that to get that. I don't think it's balanceable. Have you ever met? It normally comes as an aftermath after doing it for so many years. But have you ever met like a young? Think of all the young people who joined either the band or some or any professional organization. Have you ever seen a balanced outlook in young people who do that? It's never, especially with musicians, athletes, musicians. No. It's never once. No. Everyone. I don't think it's even possible, because once you start thinking about that, that's exactly when you should probably start thinking about, maybe I should be teaching. Maybe I should find something that is, because look, it's you can always say family's priority, but it's not. It's not when you do that, because if you had, like you said, if you had a chance between saying yes to a gig or saying yes to a night out with your family members, and you say a yes to a gig, by definition you're giving a priority to a gig. And look, that's if you wanna make it, that's a part of a gig, and I don't think that's necessarily either a good or bad thing, but it's just the way things normally are, at least from my experience, especially with the younger folks. I know that I always. Now I'm starting to get.
You're still young. In about 10 years, you'll be like, Ding was right.
No, it's funny. I laughed when you said, I asked you when did you start thinking about that, and you said you're mid-20s, and I laughed because with every year that starts to creep in. That's why the social media thing is much more becoming more. I'm investing a lot of time because it gives me an opportunity to perform. It's not like I don't want to travel or don't want to do that thing, but it would be cool if I get to pick and choose those a little bit better rather than saying yes to every single thing. And social media, having ability to perform, it's not identical experience, but at this point, that's one of the best tools to stay somewhat as a performer, even if you're not traveling and not going to all of these concert tours and so on and so on and so on. Either way, any final thoughts on this before we wrap up?
I can't think anymore right now.
Okay.
I think I'm just low in energy.
Okay. So I guess it's about time to.
Alrighty. Oh, thank goodness. It's time to dine. Ooh.
It's time to dine. I already dined. I actually had a snack today. I don't know what you have. You forgot to tell me what you have, so I'm going to be guessing through the chat right now.
Let it be a mystery.
Okay. Mike, introduce.
All right, so dining with Ding. Here we go. Here's another round. This is our giveaway time. Al has toiled over the years to develop some of the best teaching materials in books that maybe the world has ever seen.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I like your promotional skills there.
I'm good at it. We have a little contest here that if you can get the correct answer, you will win. If you're the first person to get the correct answer, you will win one of his amazing curriculum books. And for the life of me, I can't remember what they are at all. But he'll tell you what they are.
Fair enough.
He'll tell you what they are in just a minute. But I love to eat snacks, either baked goods or candy. I love them. So this is Dining with Ding. I'm going to give you some clues about one of the snacks that I have. If you can guess it correctly, then you win a prize.
Fair enough. First hint.
Okay, the first hint. I always say if it's a baked good or candy, but I will say for this time it is a baked good, and I'll give a hint along with it. The hint along with the baked good is most of the time people eat this in cereal form, but they also make delicious treats.
Okay, fair enough. In the meantime, while people are guessing, I'm going to read through some of the questions, and we're going to watch for some of the fan submissions. We've got some funny stuff submitted by a couple of our viewers. So John is saying that he enjoyed Ruslan and Ludmila. I'm glad you enjoyed it. If you haven't seen the video, make sure to check it out. I'm pretty proud of that. I think it sounds pretty awesome. It does not sound like...
Maybe it has something to do with the story, I'm not sure, but why is there like a bear that's like screaming in the picture?
I always want to, Drew always makes jokes about me being from East Europe, so we always make a bear joke, and because of a Russian composer, I just put a bear in front of it. It's just,
I was like, why is that bear screaming in the picture?
Yeah. So, but just that, it's more like a funny thing. So, okay. It's really sad that Matonizz is not popular at all. He really should have more attention. Well, not popular at all. Okay, that's only. But fair enough. But let's say I'm pretty.
I mean, it's your own fault.
Yeah. I guess either way, you
you
could help me out by sharing all of my content. That would make me a much popular person. But look, for me, it's being the most popular player is not, or a person is not my goal. I'd much rather have a very niche group of followers and people who particularly enjoy the content. And we've been really paying attention to making sure that for all the people who support, we deliver as much good content and usable content that I believe is the best content, and hopefully that matches the needs and expectations of people. But I agree with you. Share this video, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Tracy is asking, fellas, how could I get that range you guys have? Euphonium player, by the way. Well, okay. No. Yeah, let's give a little bit of a better suggestion. So first of all, there's a bunch of educational videos on range. I made this is the topic I covered into most extent. It's a very vague question. It's almost this would be equivalent. How do I get good at throwing free throws? It varies depending. If the better question is not how you could acquire that range. The question would be why. What is the current problem? Where are you at right now? It could be a variety of problems, like it could be a lack of physicality that is being developed throughout the years, musculature strength. That could be lack of control. It could be lack of technique, not ability to control your air speed, air volume, not a lack of ability to control your aperture, tension in your face, all of those things. So it's very hard to give you very specific advice. I normally go into specific details when I break down those videos. It all comes down to always coordinating 4 things: fingers, breathing, embouchure, and tongue. Those are 4 things that you learn how to coordinate. Now, when you think of 4 things, that sounds pretty simple, but I normally break those down. What is breathing? What is good breathing? I normally break that down into 2 things: inhale, exhale. Okay, if that is not explanatory, what is a good inhale? I always think there's 3 goals I'm trying to achieve with my inhale. Have enough air at the right time with control. Okay, how do I acquire enough air? So do you try harder? Or maybe you take longer time to fill up, all those things. So I normally have this pyramid of how I approach every single detail to make sure it's being very well explained. And normally it's hard to give specific advice without seeing you play. So but for more general help, I would recommend checking my educational video playlist. You'll see plenty of high range content that would dive into some of those specifics that I talked about. Mike, a quick suggestion?
No, I just wanted to mention something that you had just said, just to mention how spot on that is. There's so many differences between each person that it's really difficult, like you mentioned, you could talk in generalities with things, but that's why it's so important is if you're studying an instrument, trying as much as possible to be able to get to a private teacher or working with a teacher to try to address some of the issues that you might be having. It could be a whole range of things that might be stopping you from expanding and increasing your range. And getting with another person or an instructor is a really important thing. And if you don't have the means or the resources to do that, just like Al said, scour the internet and YouTube and the websites to try to get as much information as you can through those means.
Okay, another hint. I'm not seeing any guesses. So whoever guesses it right, I'm going to give one of our educational content pieces, whether it's my scale curriculum, full practice routine, or high range routine. You'll get to choose. Another hint at
Matonizz and Ding.
Yep.
The slogan for this treat, I guess, would be snap, crackle, and pop.
Okay. Fair enough. Let's read through some more questions. Ellen saying, did Pep band in grad school and travel to Baltimore and Richmond? Sharing some experience. Broadway show actors and actresses are always on the move, and it seems similar to what Ding is saying. Steve Mead has done it for like 30 plus years. Yeah, that's one of people I'm talking about when I say there's very few people who manage to do that, and I've seen a lot of health consequences firsthand that he helped, that he developed. One of them was diabetes. When he was on the road, that was a pretty bad one, and you probably noticed that his physical appearance changed throughout the years pretty drastically. So a lot of that is due to his schedule, lack of sleep, and so on. But one of the people who managed to do that, but there is a price to pay for that. Hi from an E-flat bass euphonium / baritone player, Wayne. Hi Wayne. Give a shout out to Wayne.
Hi Wayne.
I have 2 points about that. One is make everything to be happy, like travel. Second is to make stable life, get money, and after be happy. What do you prefer? Stability or I guess or spontaneousness? It depends. At this moment, like my experience, which one do you prefer? Stability, safety, or freedom? I guess or like stability or spontaneousness. Which would you prefer?
Me?
Yeah.
Stability.
Okay, fair enough. Was that always like that, or as you age?
Pretty much always like that. I've always had the mindset of, accomplishing things that I need to accomplish to try to have, like a straightforward, stable kind of life with, being able to pay the bills and do all that kind of stuff, put a roof over the head.
Ellen is constantly insisting to bring Abby on the stream. Maybe we should do that.
Yeah, you didn't bring Abby up in here.
Yeah. Maybe I need to get in touch with setting this up. People, it's the whole reason why I'm not bringing many people right now. I'm gonna be trying to set up a live. Like a bigger studio where I can bring more people, because the problem, I have no clue. Like, I know exactly what internet I literally set up the studio, or the camera equipment and the audio equipment that Mike has is literally the equipment that I got him and I set up, so I know it's compatible with all the softwares and so on, and I never know what's up with other people, and I try to avoid, because I'm like, for me and Mike, I can give him a call. Hey, are you okay doing a stream in 10 minutes? And that's normally the amount.
Remember, I never say no.
But yeah, we'll try to get some guests. I want to set up a place where it's not virtual before I start bringing more people. It's not that I'm avoiding to bring. I'd love to have Abby on. I just want to make sure that it's a little bit easier in terms of a preparation. Either way, another tip real quick. I'm not getting any guesses. I guess nobody wants to get a book. I'll wait. We'll go to another one, because Ding is hungry. If nobody.
Want me to give another hint?
Okay.
Marshmallows binds this together.
Okay. So do you do lung expansion training at all? So lung capacity, I guess that would be a little bit more accurate description of that. So your lungs, the size of your lungs, that's it. You have one size once you're a fully grown up person, and it can only shrink. You cannot expand your lungs. Now, the functionality in terms of how much capacity of those lungs is being utilized, that you can expand. So, and that I train relentlessly, because I have a very small capacity for a musician. I constantly see students who I've got plenty of students who have like 6 liters or 6.5 liters. I average always between 3.5 to 4 liters, and that's where I average 4 at most. 4 is, it's for me, if I take a full tank to where it's nothing left. So for me, I need to make sure it's a lot of that, vast majority of that, I'm capable of using functionally. So yeah, I do lung capacity training quite relentlessly every single day. That's one of the things I do not skip. Mike, you do.
Yeah, you're a little bit more crazy with the lung stuff than what I do, but just as warm up exercises, I spend a decent amount of time with just some breathing exercises to get things flowing. We mentioned from time to time the breathing gym and some of those exercises that go along with that. I'll take a handful of them each time to spend a little bit of time during my warm up, and I feel satisfied with that. You often take things just because of the level of your playing and how you do things. You take things in a very like strict, matter of fact way, and I wouldn't say to the extreme, but you go a little bit more in depth than what a lot of people would.
I need to replace my chair. It's starting to crank a little bit. I don't like that. Either way, okay, we're going to go to some of that. We're going to wait another couple minutes. We're going to make one more hint after this. And if nobody's guessing, we're just literally...
I'm running out of hints. I'm low energy.
So that's what I'm saying.
Energy.
But either way, let's look at some funny stuff that we had submitted by some of our viewers. So we've got a couple of memes and a couple of videos. So let's go to this. Submitted by Chris Kalaka. I believe I'm pronouncing the surname correctly. So for those who haven't seen the last stream, literally harbinger of boring.
I'm not the harbinger of boring. I just don't find things
are.
funny. It just doesn't strike me as funny. It's
Yeah.
I have like, if you would have to choose a person to hang out with, either me or you, Al, I am like way more exciting than you. You are boring you are more boring than I am.
It's just I'm boring, but at least I have a sense of humor. So either way,
True.
either way.
True.
So this one's submitted by Ellen.
Who's laughing?
Who's
Yeah,
laughing.
send Death out to get the laughers. Death will never come and get me because I never laugh.
Okay. Rice Krispie Squares.
Yeah, who said that? Who said that?
Music Fraser.
Oh, Rice Krispie treats. Oh, I give it to him. Squares is fine. This isn't a square; it's a rectangle, but that's okay. Rice Krispie treats. Oh,
Fair enough.
It seems so far away. Go back to the other screen. I wanted them to see it.
Okay.
Go back to the other screen. Rice Krispie treats. There it is.
I've never seen you more excited about that. Okay, I'm seeing two people. Tony said Rice Krispie and Music Fraser. Both of you send me congratulations to both. Send me an email with the subject line Dining with Ding, and let me know whether you like full scale practice curriculum, full practice routine curriculum, or high range practice curriculum, and I'll forward you that. Send me an email to
take a bite. take a bite.
But either way, euphonium.legends@gmail.com. Again, that's euphonium.legends@gmail.com. Send me an email. I'll forward you all the stuff. Okay, let's go watch some funny videos and we'll wrap this up. So I had a couple of these submitted. One of them, and the first one is by Andrew Newman, and it's basically Boston Symphony Orchestra musicians and their take on warm-ups, and let's see if that gets any laughs from Mike whatsoever. Okay, you ready? I'm hoping there's not going to be any ads here. So disclaimer, I don't have YouTube Red.
Yeah, you gotta do the warm-up. I never warm up because I never cool down.
When I get a good warm-up in, there's nothing I can't play.
Tom, do you warm up every day?
Yes!
This is my 31st year in the Boston Symphony, and I've warmed up approximately 50,233 and a half times.
Yeah, long tones are all right. Sure, why not? But the warm-up's really not so much about that as it is to get ready to step into the arena, you know, to gear up for the battle.
Wait, you mean figuratively, like a musical battle?
Figuratively? No, I mean literally, like fist to fist with the conductor. Yeah.
You know, BSO brass is
Please tell me you found that funny, no? No? I think that's pretty. Oh, okay.
a really unique sound.
man.
You could say it's the hall. Maybe you could say it's the hall. Maybe you could say it's the way we articulate.
Do you see the
Really, though, I
background?
think
Are you looking at the background?
it has to do with how intense we all are about our individual warm-up. Oh, and our group warm-up. Group warm-ups are absolutely crucial.
Stop it. Go back for a second. I want to see what the instruments they would normally go back.
How
Go back.
far?
Just to where all the three of them were playing. That second trombone player playing that trumpet should sound way better on that trumpet than what he's portraying right there.
Okay.
Way better.
Fair enough. I think he sounds
And
pretty
then what?
awesome.
There's a trumpet player playing the horn. Also, the trumpet player playing the horn should sound way better too.
I
But
think
especially
they sound-
that trombone player. What?
I think they sound pretty awesome. So either way.
Terrible.
Rolf's? Yeah, his warm-up is really weird. Doesn't work for me. Doesn't work for anybody. It's really bad. It's really weird.
How is that funny to you?
That was good. That was good.
That was good,
clever.
but how's that funny?
That was a clever joke. That was a clever.
It's extremely important for a professional to get in a nice, stable warm-up.
Trumpets always do that. I hate that.
Tell us what the warm-up means to each of you.
Well, you know, if we got a tiny minute warm-up and flexibilities and long tones. He did one every day. It's only important to impact it does not last more than about 20 minutes.
Thank you, that was very helpful.
Yeah, Mike Martin has one of the best warm-up routines I've ever heard, and everybody knows it. And I guarantee you, well, it's no secret, that's why he's here right now, in the BSO.
Athletes warm up before they run a marathon.
Stop for a second. I want to say this. So you play a lot of Drew's stuff, and you see Drew. Drew is hilarious when he warms up. All that Drew does
There's a pedal.
all he does for a warm up is he plays at like as loud as he possibly can, like just like a low sound.
A pedal.
And it's just like
on a flugelhorn.
It's just once. It's just like. And then that's it. That's all he does.
Yeah. That's
And then he's ready to play.
Yeah, I tried that during our last recording session. Did not work out all that well for me. So, you know what?
Warm-ups on a brass instrument are equally important.
Yeah, I'm good.
The warm-up? Yeah, it's by far the most important part of my day. I can't really even function as a human being without it. It's very specific to my needs, both as a trumpet player and as a professional musician.
Well, it's really important for you
Okay. Okay. I guess that'll be it. Funny, not funny.
There's a couple of funny parts in that.
Okay. 1 to 10. What do you give it?
2.
2. Ah, you're a party pooper. I would give it a solid 7. I actually found some of that stuff pretty funny. So either way, received a couple of Friends videos. You ever watched Friends?
The only thing, I would watch Friends, but I would always turn it off after the.
It's like after first 20 seconds.
I would just listen to the opening song, and then I wouldn't watch the actual show.
That being said, some submissions from Ellen. I haven't watched these yet. Let's see how is that related to music. So bagpipes. Ross plays bagpipes. Okay, let's have a look at this. That actually reminds me of something. We have a bagpipe concert series each year. That's literally how it normally sounds backstage. So.
What is that?
I think it's the Dying Cat Parade.
Sounds like it's coming from across the street.
Oh my God.
What?
You know that thing that Ross was going to do at our wedding? He was hanging out with me yesterday and he turned to me and he said, "You're half Scottish, right?"
No, there is no way. Cannot be Ross. Unbelievable. Why is your family Scottish?
Why is your family Ross?
Cannot play a...
Okay, fair enough. You want to play a little bit more of this?
Wedding. I mean, everyone will leave. I mean, come on, that is just noise. It's not even a song.
If you listen very carefully, I think it's Celebration by Kool and the Gang.
How do you find that? How is that funny to you? How's the
Because
previous?
it's clearly not. It's clearly not Kool and the Gang. It's clearly not.
Fair enough.
Ellen has some good ones. I appreciate her things.
Yeah, okay.
She has some good ones. That's good. I never watched Friends. It was just a show that I never got into. But I love the theme song. But just never watched the show. But that was pretty good.
Fair enough. Give 1 to 10.
I have a friend that plays the bagpipes. It's a coworker. He's a really good friend of mine, and he's really good at them. But he just plays them often. It's just like, oh, it's so loud when he's around. It's so loud.
1 to 10. Funny, not funny.
Funny for sure. Probably about like a 7, I would say.
Okay, fair enough. You made Ding laugh. Congratulations. Normally, Mike only laughs when I drop a mouthpiece, split a note, or one of those things happens. So apparently bagpipes make him happy and laughing. Okay, let's go to the next one. Again, another friend video Ellen submitted. Let's have a look at this.
I'm going to start off with a little song called Smelly Cat.
Huh.
Oh, for those of you who are wondering, this is my real voice. Smelly cat, what are they feeding you? Everybody! Smelly cat, it's not your fault. Monica!
They won't take you to the vet.
Chandler!
Obviously not their favorite pet.
Joey!
May not be a bed of roses.
Rachel!
You're not friend to those with noses.
Ross, those are the only lines we have, sorry. Okay. Back to the chorus, everybody. Smelly cat, what are they feeding you? Smelly cat, it's not your fault.
A smelly cat!
Okay, fair enough. This one's pretty funny.
That's a funny one too, because it reminds me of something that I do often. I'll always take songs and I'll throw them to students. I throw the song to them, and they're supposed to like sing the next part. And sometimes the students, they'll be team players, and they'll finish the song out, and other times it's the last thing they ever want to do. It's so funny.
Okay. Fair enough.
And then they didn't even have a part for the one guy.
Fair enough.
He was all up for it, and they didn't even have a part for him. He was so crushed.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Okay.
That's a good one.
I'll take that as a funny.
Smelly cat.
A smelly cat, is that like a song or something?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think.
Fair enough. Funny or not funny? Come on, 1 to 10.
That's a funny one. Yeah, that's like a 9.
Okay, fair enough. That's funny as we get. All right, so if you have any funny videos or you have any memes that you like to make a meme out of Mike. You can make a meme out of me. Send us your funny stuff to euphonium.legends@gmail.com. Put the subject line, "This ain't funny," and we'll try and show your videos in one of our live streams and see if we can get Mike to laugh a little bit. But hey, congrats to Ellen. It seems like Mike is digging your jokes. Either way, okay. Anything else worth mentioning today? We just wanted to basically cover the main point was just talk a little bit. Smelly Cat is Phoebe's signature song in the Friends TV series. Okay, fair enough. Smelly Cat. I'll keep that in mind. I never like I watch. I know Friends. Yeah. I know that, but I've never like watched it as well. Like I guess it's quite funny. Maybe I'll check it out. It's probably on Netflix or something like that. Either way, we wanted to talk a little bit, communicate with everyone, see how everyone's doing. Hope everyone had a great start to the week. Go check out Ruslan and Ludmila. The clip we uploaded yesterday has some pretty impressive stuff. Pretty proud of that arrangement and that playing because it was not so easy to record. Next week we've got a very cool Percy Granger's tune coming that will feature Mike as well. And with that in mind, we wish you all a happy week. Send us your questions. We'll try to answer some of them next week. And thanks to everyone who was joining in. And Mike, any final words?
Hi, Brazil. Bye, Brazil.
Okay. All right, everyone.